Good evening and welcome to Abnormal Alabama. Right there, Mr. Bobblehead himself, Kevin the Haunted Dog Kane. Kevin, who's that over next to you there?
You talking about Catherine Marie over there?
That one, yes.
That would be me.
Well, that's your bubby over there.
Oh. All right, I thought it was Dolly Parton for a minute. Okay.
No, we're close to the same time.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here live again on another Tuesday night. We've been doing this now well over 2 years. We're into our third year of nonstop, strange, fascinating, interesting, haunted, spooky, scary. And we got an interesting topic tonight. And that topic tonight is what?
Celebrity
Hauntings.
All right.
Celebrity ghost stories.
So I'm assuming, and the way that I interpreted this is to mean that we're going to talk about some celebrity ghosts and also some celebrities that saw ghosts.
Yeah.
All right. I got it right?
Correct.
All right.
Yeah.
Good deal. So before we get started, I would like to remind you that Kevin the Haunted Dog Kane, he has written 13, that's right,
Lucky number
13 books that can be found all over the internets. And if you order directly from him, he will personally autograph a book for you. If you buy all 13 of his books, he'll throw in an 8x10 glossy photograph of himself, autographed with the date, personally autographed, saying, "Dear Susie, such a pleasure to provide you my 13 books." Now, if you add to that list of buying the 13 books and getting that picture, he'll also pose partly nude for you. For
No. That's a lie. A filthy lie.
Oh, come on, Kevin.
I bet you for enough money he would strip it down. All right, Kevin. Somebody just offered $1,000. Would you take a shirt off for $1,000?
My shirt off for $1,000. I probably would. I don't know.
See there?
I want the money up front, though.
It's not
With
a
the
question.
money up front.
It's not a question of whether he's a whore or not. It's only a
Taking
question.
off your shirt. I mean, that's not exactly
For a man, yeah.
That's not exactly a horitude.
we went down to New Orleans one time down Bourbon Street, and they were throwing the beads off the balconies. You ever been down there when they did that?
I hadn't been down there yet.
Okay, so I was walking along, and so I did that number, and I got all kind of beads.
Well, I have a story about New Orleans and some beads.
Is it Bolton Roland?
All right, folks.
We went down on the ambulance one time, and it was during Mardi Gras, and had to take a patient transport long distance there, and my ambulance was full of beads when we got back. I was younger then, a lot younger, closer to 20ish, early 20s.
All right, let's get on with the show, y'all perverted old folks.
Perverted old folks.
Wanted to make sure we say hello to Mark. Mark is tuning in with us this evening from
Mark.
Charlotte.
Does Mark still have one of these shirts?
Yes, I think so. Mark, do you have one of those shirts still?
I know Kevin does, but he never likes to wear it.
Yeah, I need to wear mine then next Tuesday.
I get a lot of attention out in public wearing my shirt.
I think you got some haunted doll shirts too, don't you, Kevin? Do you still have those?
Yeah, I've still got those.
You need to wear that stuff.
I need to wear those on Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday.
I need to make me some new ones.
All right. So we're going to talk about celebrity ghosts and celebrities that have seen the ghost. And as the night progresses, I'm going to share, believe it or not, I've got a couple of those interesting stories.
Oh, I got a
In my
phone call.
book.
Guys coming in on the 800 number. Hold on. I will be right back.
Okay. So right there, Dating the Dead at datingthedead.com. And that's my book. So right now, though, Kevin has been working relentlessly for the last 24 to 72 hours, coming up with these fascinating, awesomely horrific, spooky stories.
Yes.
So would you like to sally forth?
Sally forth. Yeah, I got the first story right up here, ready to go.
Jalapeno. I didn't load
I
any
was just-
pictures.
Yeah, there's so many of them. I mean, I would have had
But wait a
100
minute.
pictures.
I know, but what better picture could you get, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Now, my first story here, this one I first heard at least 10, 15 years ago, I believe. And I was fascinated by this, especially since it comes from the New England area up there, kind of, where they got all kinds of ghostly legends and witches and all that. And this is from a lovely actress that goes by the name of Mina Subari, who you might have seen in American Beauty back in, I think it was in 1999 or 2000. It won a slew of Academy Awards. Kevin Spacey and Annette Bening. She was, for you horror fans, she was in the first remake of Day of the Dead, and just a bunch of other movies and shows she's been in, and still acting today. But I love this story here. I'm gonna start here. This is from This is from, I think it's Movie Online, or no, it's from the LeBeau blog. They posted this article. Yeah, LeBeau. Or LeBeau blog. Okay. So she is quoted here. While I was growing up in Rhode Island, we lived in a stone house built in 1870 on acres and acres of land that I used to run around on with my brothers. The house and yard were so big I didn't need to go anywhere else. In summer, I'd pick raspberries and blackberries from our bushes. I'd ride my bike. I didn't watch movies or even think about them. I wanted to be a paleontologist, an architect, a writer. I remember deciding one day that I wanted to be an archaeologist too, so I started digging in our backyard. Our land was so old that I dug 3 feet down and found fragments of china, glass, and a bullet. Taking a piece of paper, this is the reporter talking. Taking a piece of paper, she draws me a map of the layout of her childhood home, which is located off Newport's fabled Street of Millionaires, Bellevue Avenue, and sketches details of the mansion itself. Even in crude miniature, the place evokes a Gothic fairy tale castle. There's a long circular driveway and magnificent staircases, secret passageways, a ballroom with a balcony designed to accommodate musicians, graceful verandas, as well as what she describes as slave quarters. All things considered, an intoxicating world for a small child. Says Mina, I always felt that I had an imaginary friend, she says when I ask what this fantasy land of hers was like. I would say things like, let me see you, and give me some kind of sign that you're here. I was too little for it not to be innocent and honest. I seriously believed it and tried to convince my family that he was real. I was always telling my brothers, someone is here. Even when I was little, I read books about the paranormal. They always say that children are more susceptible because they're open and see more. And I had this sense that he was there. I would talk to him sometimes if I was alone. There were weird instances, like when I was alone one day thinking about what should I call him, and at that moment, something just told me, look that way now. And when I did, I saw this name scratched into the wood. It said Ted, T-E-D. I wrote a letter to him once and put it in the attic. My brothers wrote back an answer to me just to torture me. So what became of this imaginary friend? I'm totally about to admit that I'm psycho, but, and then Safari checks me to see how I'm taking this before continuing. Fully animated now, Safari says. My brothers and I talk about how our house was haunted. I've always believed in that stuff. I'm not very religious. I love the cosmos and that whole science. What's cool is that I can talk to my brother's Celeb, I think is her brother's name, who I totally trust. He would never lie to me. Because of him, I know that ghosts exist. I always knew I was right about my imaginary friend, but my brothers actually saw things and my mother had experiences too. So, according to her brother Celeb, he reported seeing a male apparition on a stairway, perhaps Ted himself, who might have been the slave who died on the grounds in the late 1800s when he was killed by hunting dogs that had been starved too long before an impending fox hunt. Savari also relates an incident when her brother woke up in the middle of the night and saw ghostly children in white playing in the trees outside the house, and others when her mother heard carriages coming up the driveway and phantom raps on the front door. Once when her parents, this is my favorite, once when her parents were away and the area suffered an electrical blackout, her oldest brother was guiding his 3 siblings hand in hand through the dark house in the pitch black and felt an extra unaccounted for hand holding his. So didn't this strike, any of this strike, Nina, as Amityville? Well, nothing ever harmed us, Savari says. When my brother told me the story about feeling that 4th hand, I peed my pants. I mean, I believe this stuff. I definitely think that everything is energy, and when we die, that energy must go somewhere. I always felt things, but I never saw anything like they did. I don't know what I'd do if I did. So, did the family move to get away from this house? Savari shakes her head and giggles. No, we moved because it was too big to clean and we wanted a warmer climate. So we moved briefly to the Virgin Islands and then to South Carolina. And that's it.
Okay.
I love that 4th hand in the pitch black darkness.
Catherine, did you get the link sent to our friend Hannah? Your mic is muted. Didn't hear you.
Can she hear us? Oh, there she is.
I can hear you. I'd muted myself.
Yeah.
Yes, I did get it sent to Hannah.
Okay, great. All right. Now I'm going to share a quick little story. It's not real long, but I don't know if you remember Bobby Brown, the singer, who was married to Whitney Houston. And the interesting thing about this story is I have spent time more than once in the mansion that they owned in Georgia. So I know where this story took place. I know this mansion real well. I spent quite a bit of time in there years ago, even before Whitney, of course, passed away. So here is what Bobby, now let me set the stage for this, first of all. You probably never met Bobby Brown, don't know much about him except what you get from the media. But you would go upstairs. I'm not going to describe the whole house, but you go upstairs and there's like a walkway around this big opening. The big opening looks down in the foyer of the house. And on the back side, you look out over the estate. And there's these big plate glass windows that line the entire wall over here. And where you're walking to is the master bedroom. Their master bedroom was bigger than most people's houses. It was huge. On the left side of the bed was a huge, lengthy walk-in closet and bathroom, and that was Bobby Brown's side. On the other side was the exact mirror of that one over there, and that was Whitney Houston's side. The bed was raised up off the floor on a pedestal like a foot and a half, and it sat in the center between those two rooms. The fascinating thing about this was that when you were on Bobby Brown's side of the bedroom and you walked out into that hallway, sort of, that overlooked the back of the estate, which was really literally acres of well landscaped grounds. The first window that you looked at there, that huge plate glass window, was a full body etching of Bobby Brown.
I remember about this.
Do you remember this?
Yeah, I
Bottom
remember about
line,
this.
yeah, and that was, I always wondered, because years later they had sold the house and whatnot, and I always wondered what happened to that plate glass with his etching into it. So I would say there's probably a little bit of an ego trip there somewhere, you know. Yeah, would you think? But here, and this is in my book called Dating the Dead. You can learn more about this book at datingthedead.com. And he gave this story on the show 2020, okay? Not the year 2020, but the show 2020. During a 2020 interview, the former New Edition singer told a new story about a very bizarre experience involving a ghost. Quote, I bought this mansion in Georgia, the very mansion I was telling you guys about. This was a really spooky place. It was semi-spooky. The spookiest part was his etching in that grass. Brown told Robin Roberts, but yes, one time I woke up and yeah, a ghost. I was being mounted by a ghost. Brown didn't go into detail about his supernatural sex session, such as when it happened, but he emphasized he was completely sober when he did the deed. I wasn't high, Brown said. I was not tripping. Brown isn't the first celebrity to claim they got down with a ghost. But to add fuel to that fire, you've got to understand that, of course, you can imagine the neighborhood in Atlanta that this house was in, but this house had a reputation for a lot of police activity. Whitney and Bobby did a lot of alcohol, drug abuse, and he insists that on that occasion he was sober. Take it for what you will. But that's the story he shares, and I wanted to share it with you. And it meant something to me because I've been in the bedroom where it allegedly took place. But no, I was not mounting Bobby Brown, I promise. Now, I might have not minded mounting Whitney Houston, but you know, didn't happen. I was sober. I was not tripping. I promise.
We have a new member, Ronald. Welcome to Abnormal Alabama.
Yeah, just added Ronald.
Hello, Ronald. And we're sharing celebrity ghost stories.
Oh, look at this comment. There's something abnormal in here.
That is from Billy Bird Outdoors.
Billy Bird has followed us in a lot of shows before. And welcome, Billy Bird.
Billy Bird, what kind of outdoor do you have?
One with a lot of birds. All right. So the next question is, I'm going to lead you, Kevin, to some stories I would like to hear. Do you have any Elvis sightings?
Oh, I didn't see any Elvis sighting. I got one with Michael Jackson, but
well, that's the next best thing. He was the king of pop. I'll be looking for Elvis because I know there's people that have seen Elvis at Graceland.
Yeah, and gotten some pictures too of something strange.
Yeah. Okay.
If Elvis was, Elvis is dead, and he doesn't want to be found, and he's just faked his death, why would he be at Graceland?
Because he's sentimentally attached to it and just can't get away. But he's actually dead, and it's his ghost that's there.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
oh,
what I said.
okay,
I think
okay.
it's this ghost. Oh, they've got. I saw a good one of somebody taking a picture outside through the window as this hazy torso. You can see some of what looks like sideburns and kind of peeking out with some sunglasses on.
Peeking
And
out.
it could peeking out the window, and it could be just.
Are you
I mean, if
peeking out?
that's a reflection of leaves outside, that's a dang coincidence for it to look like that with sideburns and a little bit of hair swooped back.
That's a
I
phenomenon.
mean, it's a phenomenon.
Phenomenon. Phenomenon. Phenomenon.
Oh, okay. So yeah, everybody likes a good Elvis ghost story, right?
Look
Really?
at this. Look at this comment. You should move Catherine in the middle. There's Billy Board outdoors.
Do you think I want to be sandwiched between these two?
It might be fun.
Oh, I think my face turned red on that one.
Y'all better clean it up. Y'all had better clean it the hell up. That's all I can say. Okay. Where am
I'm sorry. I'll be a good girl.
Where am I? I want to show something here. I'm gonna get no, I don't want video. Quit it. I'm doing it the wrong place.
I don't know how I wind up on the right hand side every time.
You don't every time.
Do I not?
No, not all.
Why is that?
Not all the time. Okay. Look at this look at that picture very closely. This was taken at Graceland.
I think that's the one I was thinking of. Right
Doesn't
there.
have on sunglasses there though.
Oh, it looked like kind of like some kind of glasses or.
Yeah.
That kind of looks like the female version of Elvis.
No,
Female
not really.
version.
That's the way he wore his hair and everything.
No. Look at the chin because it's awful female-y.
No.
Sorry.
No.
That's a female version.
Quit. Trying to make a transsexual out of Elvis. Shame on you.
No, that's a female version of Elvis.
Shame on you.
And he's not as fat. This person is not as fat as Elvis was because when Elvis died, he was pretty fat.
Okay.
No.
You're kind of ruining.
I think
You're
that's a
kind of
female version.
ruining everything about Elvis. I mean, okay. It's time to go to. It's time to go.
Well.
Now, if you want to add that kind of talk to it, let's go to Michael Jackson.
I love Michael Jackson now.
I know, but
Michael Jackson.
yeah, but we got evidence about him. He had effeminate ways about him, and that's cool. I'm not against effeminate. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with effeminate guys, but don't throw it in the wrong place.
Yeah, I need to find that one's hidden in one of these 50 stories.
50 story.
Yeah, and it's in here, and it's LaToya Jackson's story of her encounter.
Did you get rid of
brother's
Well, let me get rid of Elvis. Jeez, okay. Go ahead.
And yeah, it was a story.
If you're just joining us, we're working on 30 minutes into the show. Mr. Bobblehead right there is Kevin the Haunted Dog Kane. And then the girl over there, what's her name?
Catherine Marie.
Oh, okay.
Catherine Marie.
Okay.
Marie.
Marie. Okay. I think we're going to have now a Michael Jackson. I've seen pictures of Michael Jackson's ghost supposed to have been at Neverland Ranch.
He was also at his own funeral.
There was a video in his mansion that they caught one of the news places caught something.
Did it go up for sale and been sold?
Yeah, I think so. But go ahead with your story. Let's hear the
this is LaToya Jackson's. This is kind of a short one, but it's a good one. LaToya Jackson. LaToya often feels her late brother Michael Jackson's presence in their childhood home in Encino. Quote, it's the strangest thing because you feel something like thick around you or behind you, and you're wondering, you don't see anything, but you feel a presence, she said. She also claimed that a security guard had heard tap dancing coming from Michael's old room. quote, when he told me that, I said, "You're kidding." That made me want to know even more about hearing someone tap dance over a certain part of the house. And I go, well, Michael used to do that every Sunday for 2 hours. We go up there and no one's up there, just tap dancing. And the dog barks at his room, the window, every single night at the same time. The dog does not even know that that was Michael's room, and neither did the security guard.
Boy, you
And that's
changed.
all they said there.
Kevin, you really changed. What
Hey,
happened to you?
that's your picture.
I wonder, didn't Michael Jackson used to have a monkey?
He did.
Oh, he had a zoo.
But it was Bubbles the chimp.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if Bubbles the chimp haunts the fantasy land.
How do you know Bubbles the chimp is not still alive?
Well, I don't. That's the reason I'm asking. Do you know?
I don't know. I haven't researched it. No.
I'm
can't
gonna research it.
remember if they donated
'Cause I
him to
wanna know.
somebody or if the family. I can't remember, but it was still alive when Michael died, I think.
I think he had a lot of animals there, didn't
Yeah, he had. I think he had like a petting zoo type thing. Which, by the way, I don't know if y'all heard. I was sad. I don't know if y'all remember. When was that? Last fall? Yeah, it was last fall. I went to Nakalula Falls and I did a video. It's on my YouTube, and I go through their petting zoo.
he?
They were
Mhm.
doing a Native American powwow up there, so we went.
I remember that. Yes, I remember.
And John Wayne's grandson was there. I got to
Yeah,
get a picture
yeah.
with him.
Yeah.
But that petting zoo, all those awesome animals. Well, just 2 weeks ago, that petting zoo, the building, something caused it to get set on fire and it burned down, and all those animals are dead.
All
Mhm.
of them?
All
Oh,
those.
wow.
So if you go
Wow.
out there and look at my video, all those animals are gone except the
Wow.
outdoor animals.
So
I
what
think-
what kind of animals did they have inside there?
They had poor little bunny rabbits. They had different snakes from around the world. Big old, I think it was an anaconda or something they had in there wrapped up in a big tank.
They had
They
guinea
had,
pigs.
They had guinea pigs. They had a tarantula in there. Just a bunch of some exotic and some from native to Alabama. But we got to pet on the rabbits and guinea pigs, and can't remember what else they had there in those pens inside there. Now they're all gone.
Mhm.
They're dead.
Hmm.
I do have some news.
Okay,
Bubbles the chimp is still alive.
he's still
See
alive.
there's what I was
And-
saying.
He is living in Florida, and he's happy.
He's happy.
Are you happy? I'm happy.
He's at a Center for Great Apes, and I'm going to butcher this word right here, Wauchula, Florida.
Wachula.
I think
So
that's
you're
how it's
looking
pronounced.
you're looking at a picture from inside
Yeah,
Neverland.
that's the one I was talking about too.
This was aired live on CNN, and I guess that figure in front of the fireplace is supposed to be Michael.
Yeah, there's a video when they pan down to that hallway, you see it walking across the doorway down there.
Mm.
Very see-through-ish. It's hard to make out. There's some other things there.
Yeah, I remember.
guess-
I kind of remember that. Yeah, so it wasn't a still photo, but I just grabbed a picture here to throw
Yeah,
out.
that's a
So
that's
what
pretty
kind?
sharp.
So you got a story?
Oh yeah, I've got another story up here, but it's not a Michael Jackson one. It's this one. I like this one. I was reading this last night because it's has to do with, guess what? The
Mm.
Lizzie Borden house
Oh, not Lizzie.
And
Everybody
celebrities.
picks on Lizzie.
and the celebrity who had her experience there, the lovely actress Chloe Sevigny,
Chloe.
who actually did a movie there. I guess she played Lizzie. I didn't know. I've seen the one where Christina Ricci played. I know there's one with Kristen Stewart playing the
Hmm.
maid, but I hadn't
Mhm.
seen this one with Chloe Sevigny. I'm going to have to look it up. But It says, long before cameras started rolling on her long gestating Lizzie Borden bioptic, Chloe Savini had an experience that bridged the gap between the human and paranormal worlds and piqued her curiosity in the subject matter. I kept hearing all these weird moaning and groaning noises, she said, but there wasn't anybody else in the house. It was terrifying. It was pretty early, and my then boyfriend was like, I have to leave. He had a strange experience last night where he felt a pressure on his chest, Savini recalls, of a years ago sleepover at the Massachusetts home where Borden supposedly hacked her father Andrew and stepmother Abby to death in 1892. During the research phase, Savini and screenwriter Bryce Cass traveled back to the Borden family home to map out the infamous murders for themselves, including Cass stationing himself downstairs while Savini hurled herself at the ground to mimic the thud the body of Lizzie's stepmother Abby would have made as it hit the floor. But this time they brought a spiritual souvenir back with them. Ooh. Let's see. I'm having to click to the next page. Stupid ads. Okay, here we go. Come on, ads, go away. I hate this is the thing when you read on these magazine websites, they got their stupid ads coming up here. Okay. Well, okay, whoa. Let's see. Okay, here we go.
Did you see what
All
Billy Bird said is Marie rolling one?
Okay. So they brought back two spiritual gift. Well, there were actually two scratches, Cass said, of his run-in with the spiritual realm. There was the first scratch when I spent the night at the house, and we did a seance, which was fucking terrifying. And I've spent the night in the murder room. And in the middle of the night, I woke up and I could feel something. I had a scratch on the side of my body. I was like, what the F? Then I couldn't sleep. But when we were on set, we were shooting in this old house. I had to do a lot of drafts for the day, so I was in a room by myself, and suddenly, again, in the exact same spot, there was the exact same scratch. It's hard to know if it's a prank or if it's a reminder or if she, the ghost, has a sense of humor. In that sense, I'm hoping it's Lizzie and not Andrew, you know. Let me see. And yeah, that's the end of that story. But I thought that was pretty cool.
Next, what?
I have one for you guys.
That was pretty cool, you know, being the Lizzie Borden house and all.
I have one. What am I rolling? What am I supposed to be rolling?
All right. What's yours?
Okay. One of our favorite singers, Kelsey. I got you, babe.
Sonny and Cher.
Cher.
That was one
Cher,
of mine, too.
Is it really?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cher thinks her late husband, Sonny, who died in 1998, is haunting her still to this day. I love ghosts. I actually think that Sonny makes the light go on, she said. I have a beautiful chandelier that he makes the light go on when it is impossible. There is no power on. I love ghosts. I prefer ghosts to some people, Cher says.
Cher says. Do you guys remember Keisha?
Yeah.
Did the song Supernatural?
Yep.
Do you know the story she gave behind that song?
I think that was one of the ones I read last night.
Too bad. I'm going to share it now.
Well, go ahead, because mine was just this little short thing. So.
It is short. But it's also in my book. In my book. Go to datingthedead.com. All kind of interesting stuff. I'll share more about that at break time. Keisha, September 2012. Aroused, you like that word? Lots of publicity for her newly released single, Supernatural. When she told Ryan Seacrest, everybody knows Ryan Seacrest, right?
Yes.
Yep.
The
American
song-
Idol.
The song was inspired by a Randy romp with a male ghost. So, do you have any details about that Randy romp?
I don't. That's all
No.
I have. Is that little snippet.
Would you like to make one up while we're here? Or should we continue on?
Randy Romp. He liked to romp around in the woods at night, and he liked to skin himself some rabbits and cook up the meat and
So
Randy
does-
smell it all over.
So wait a minute. Does that mean his name is Randy, or was he Randy? Was Randy Randy?
I don't
Was
know if
Randy
Randy was Randy.
He was a
I don't
Randy
know.
Randy.
I'm going to add one more story to this. It's short as well. Anna Nicole Smith. She revealed that she used to have sex with a ghost back when she lived in Texas. She first thought it was her boyfriend, but then one day I woke up and found it wasn't. She remembered. I was freaked out about it. Then I was like, well, you know what? He's never hurt me. And he just gave me some really amazing sex. So,
Oh,
so,
I'm not even going to go there.
I'm quoting her. So I have no problem. So there you go. But now that she passed away, she's there. Can you imagine her as a ghost, but whoever this ghost was? They were getting Randy too, huh?
They were getting Randy. Romping Randy.
All right,
I have a popular person, especially with the younger kids, the younger crowd.
Is it Barney? No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's actually. Do you know the name Hannah Montana?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Miley Cyrus.
Miley Cyrus.
Miley Cyrus.
In an interview with Elle UK, Cyrus revealed the London flat she was staying in during her 2009 European tour was haunted. It was seriously so terrifying. It used to be an old bakery, and they turned it into an apartment building. And I was having really crazy dreams and really scary things. And one night, my little sister, it sounded crazy to tell you, but she was standing in the shower, and all of a sudden, I hear her scream. I run in there, and the water had something flipping too hot, but it was still. It wasn't like the water had just changed. The knob had turned, but she hadn't turned it, and it was burning her. She was really red. Before I felt this, I thought I had seen a little boy sitting on the sink watching me take a shower, so I felt really freaked out. I was sitting there the next night, and maybe I'm crazy, but I could have sworn I could have seen the little boy sitting there on the sink, kicking his feet. My mom was getting mad that we were looking into it because she thought it was going to scare Noah. So then my aunt, who we had told about this, comes in and starts freaking out. She's like, I had no idea what happened, but I left the apartment and came back, and all the doors and windows were open. I locked the apartment. I'm like, tell my mom. She doesn't believe that anything is happening in this apartment. So she told her, and I'm like, Mom, see, I'm not making this up. 3 or 4 things happened after that. I will never stay there ever again. When we started looking into it, we found out that this guy and his son, the guy who owned the bakery, it was one of these where the dad owns it and the dad owns it. And there was this older man that owned it, and his son lived with him there. And I guess the wife died or something. She had gotten sick, so it was just the son and the dad that lived there in the bakery. And then the dad died, and the son took over the bakery. And I thought I was seeing the son. I'm not even kidding.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum.
So what do you have there, Kevin? Because you know what I forgot that I had in my book.
What'd you have?
I've got an Elvis ghost story
Oh,
that I bet you haven't heard this one before, because it's Elvis is the ghost, and it's a very interesting ghost story.
Put the Elvis picture back up.
yeah.
Well, give us a little ambience
Do you
here.
wanna-
Some ambience. Oh, I thought
Yeah.
Kevin was going to do one first.
Well, I've got one right here in Birmingham. If you want to hear that.
Ah, Sweet Home Alabama. Come on.
Yeah, right here in downtown Birmingham, we got a celebrity ghost. This one it was pretty popular decades and decades ago. He sang songs like "I'm so lonesome I could cry."
Now you got to get a lot
Hank
deeper voice than that.
Williams. I'm so
I'm so-
lonesome I could
good.
cry.
No, you're singing it wrong, Kevin. You're singing it
It's
all
supposed
wrong.
to be nasal. I'm so lonesome I could cry.
You got the
know
words
his,
wrong.
You know, Hank,
Oh Lord!
his,
I could die.
I
Is that
could
what it
die.
his
It's that false memory thing.
yeah, it's Mandela effect. You know, his grandson, Hank 3, looks and sounds just like it.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, people may not know if you're from Birmingham, and we talked about when I used to do the tours downtown with the haunted. Yeah, I used to be a tour guide on the haunted Birmingham bus tour a few years back. They haven't done it in a while, but seems like the pandemic messed things up. But we would go around on this chauffeur bus and take people around. I'd tell the stories with my little microphone. This before I met y'all. And there was we stopped at the Redmont Hotel and what's that other one? Tutwiler Hotel, the Birmingham Library, we even went and did the ghost stories at the zoo and the gardens. But Redmont Hotel is where Hank Williams Sr. spent the last night of his life on Earth. And he didn't die there. He left the hotel.
He died
on the road.
I thought he died in his car.
Yeah, he died in his car on the way after they left the Redmont. So he was on his way to Virginia, I think, and died. But it was later that day after they left here. But I guess he was doing a concert or something here, to singing somewhere here downtown, and he stayed at the Redmont that night. And the funny story is, he loved the ladies, and a couple of young women showed up at his door that night, probably college age, and knocked on the door, and he opened it up. Whoa, who are y'all? And they just giggled. They were all excited. There's Hank Williams Sr. or Hank Williams. The others weren't around yet. And he says, where are y'all from? And one of them decided she would be cute. She goes, we're from heaven. He said, and this is a quote, the person there with him heard him say it, well, just know you're the very reason I'm going to be going to hell tonight, he said. And brought him in to his room.
What did he do when he got in the room?
They didn't tell that part. So,
jeez.
I guess it was a good night for all. But the next morning, he left the hotel, and it was on the road back to Virginia. So when he had a heart conditioner. He was young too when he died.
Yeah, he was like in his 20s.
Yeah, but ever since then, they said he must have really loved that night for the Redmont because he keeps coming back. Maids and customers alike have seen an apparition going down the hallway. I can't remember which floor it was, but the floor he stayed on that night. They've said they've seen a figure wearing a cowboy hat and suit like he used to wear when he performed. One maid was coming out of the room and she looked up and saw a man walking away from her. He had his back to her and he had a cowboy hat on and he was strutting down that hallway and she just thought it was a customer. And she looked down to get her towels and looked back up and noticed that all of a sudden his feet were gone. And she said, little by little, as he kept walking down the hall, he faded away until he disappeared. And she was frozen for a minute, and then she screamed and threw the towels and ran down the stairs and out the door. She refused to come back. She would not come back for her last paycheck. She quit. They had to send her a paycheck to her. And people have heard the soft strumming of a guitar on that floor, and even in other parts of the hotel, they've heard strumming. And if you listen, it sounds a lot like his songs being just softly played on a guitar. So if you want a free ghostly concert, go to you have to pay for your night stay, but
it's not free.
Yeah, the night stay you got to pay for. But if you want a ghostly concert, that part won't cost you. Just stay up late and listen. You might hear that guitar strumming, or you might even see Hank come down the hall. In fact, somebody reported they heard a knock on the room door. I guess there. There you go. And opened it up to see Hank Williams standing there, and he just kind of looked at him, and then pow, he was gone. So there's all kinds of Hank Williams ghost stories there. It's very interesting, and it's a beautiful hotel. It's back open for business, renovated. They got a good restaurant, and they even have the bellboys in front at the front door dressed in period bellhop clothing. So it's really, really swank.
A swanky place. All right, I'm gonna go into another story. I'm skipping several because you got to buy my book. Ooh.
Okay, if you're
go
gonna
to
do
Katie,
it,
I'm skipping that. I'm going to a lengthier story, and I know we know who Dan Aykroyd is.
I was about to do him.
Dan Aykroyd is in my book as well. And he was on, are you familiar with the Joe Rogan Experience? He does a podcast.
Yes.
Okay. They talked about a wide variety of interesting topics, including, of course, with Dan Aykroyd, you talk about aliens, you talk about UFOs, even Bigfoot, and his feelings about on the Ghostbusters reboot that they did, and an update on the new Ghostbusters movie coming out. One of the more intriguing stories that the legendary comic actor revealed during the interview was about the time that he slept with a ghost. During the interview, Aykroyd was talking about how he sold his house to fellow actor Beverly D'Angelo. The Los Angeles home was previously owned by Mama Cass, singer in the 60s band The Mamas and Papas. Cass Elliot had died at the age of 32 in her sleep in London on July 29, 1974. But Aykroyd and D'Angelo believe that Mama Cass may still haunt her former home. Before Aykroyd sold the house to D'Angelo, Dan said that he too had an unusual paranormal encounter in the home. Aykroyd said his ghostly experience probably happened while he was filming the movie Dragnet that was released in 1987. I had an experience one night where something got into bed with me. I was alone, and I don't know what went on there. Rogan asked if the encounter was sexual, and the actor replied, well, it might. I think I was being come on to. It did try to come on to me, and I didn't refuse it, Aykroyd said. When asked if he resisted the sexual advancements by the ghost, Aykroyd replied, you know what? I snuggled up to it and went to sleep. Aykroyd said he felt a shape and saw the depression in the mattress of the spirit in his bed. I felt something next to me. I felt a form next to me, Dan told Joe. I felt a weight next to me, he said. Aykroyd said he was not intoxicated. Boy, a lot of people are defending themselves against intoxication, aren't they? On the night of this encounter, and he was working on a picture and he had gone to bed early. There were two spirits that night that might have been there. One of them, of course, Mama Cass herself, although she died in London, Aykroyd revealed. And then there was another guy that apparently there was a rumor that he had died of a drug overdose at a party and that they had buried him in the hillside. And my daughter saw him walking with a little red-haired girl down the hall once. And we think that maybe he might have been there. Aykroyd explained that when he sold the haunted house to Beverly D'Angelo, that the California law that he had to divulge any unusual activity in the house. So he informed D'Angelo that he had had encounters with spirits while living in the home. If you remember the original Ghostbusters movie, Dan Aykroyd's character, Dr. Raymond Stantz, had a sexual encounter with a female specter that made him cross-eyed.
Yeah.
So,
something's wrong in your neighborhood. Who you gonna call?
Kevin Kane.
I don't know if it's me, but y'all keep breaking up on my headset. Do I sound fine to y'all?
You
No,
sound
you said-
great.
Okay.
No, she's lying. You sound horrible, actually.
Well, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Look who's been drinking now.
Well, I got my solo cup here.
Red Solo Cup. I fill you up.
All right. Look here,
A
boys.
lot of drinking.
I need a 10-minute story. Who's got a 10-minute story we can
I
share?
got one here that's from the lovely Mississippi Belle herself, Diane Ladd.
All right,
This is
Diane.
kind of a long one. I don't know if it might go 10 minutes. Okay. Diane Ladd, hot off her first Oscar nomination for Martin Scorsese's Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, which is,
I
by the
remember that.
way, that's the movie that spawned the show Alice with my cousin Polly Flo. Kiss my grits. But Diane Ladd, she played Flo, the original Flo in that movie. Diane Ladd joined a 1976 stage production of Luann Hampton Laverty, or Oberlander, at the Kennedy Center's Eisenhower Theater while enjoying a self-described high roll. She was even due to appear at the city's annual Memorial Day parade on a special invitation from President Ford. But Ladd never made it to the festivities thanks to a ghostly intervention that would change the course of her personal and professional life. Ladd says she was staying at the Watergate Hotel for the duration of the play's run, though fans offered her a lavish apartment, which the actress tells EW she later discovered was a love nest for senators and congressmen as an alternative. Quote, at 4:45 a.m., exactly on the day of the parade, someone shook my arm while I was asleep. When I'm doing a play, it takes an awful lot of energy, and a Mack truck could drive through the apartment and I could still be asleep. But someone shook my arm to the extent that I sat up, Ladd remembers. I was looking to see who shook my arm. I'm looking all around the room at the foot of the bed. At the foot of the bed was an etheric ghost silhouette of a woman's body. I thought I was dreaming, right? All right. With nerve shot, Ladd made herself a glass of warm milk and sat on the apartment's balcony, reflecting on the Potomac River. She skipped the parade, but made it. Oh, these stupid ads. She skipped the parade, but made it to the Eisenhower for her performance. But so did the ghost. Quote, we both heard this crazy whisper, a woman's whisper, she says of her scene partner. He looked at me and said, what did you say? And I said, I did not say anything. What did you say? In the second act of the play, Ladd says she heard the whisper again. I looked at the red curtain shimmering on the side, and I thought, that's it. It's the ushers. They've seen the play, and they're bored, so they're whispering, and the acoustics are bringing their voices up here. So I thought, when I find out who it is, I'm going to send them to hell in a handbasket. But there were no ushers behind that curtain, she remembers, when checking later. All right, let me get to the next page. During the play's final moments, Ladd felt a physical presence walk up beside her. I'm taking what they call big pregnant pauses, and the audience is shifting, now waiting for my lines. I opened my mouth to speak, and in my left ear, a woman's voice spoke to me with a message. Her name was Martha. Oh, that's my mom's name. Her name was Martha. She asked me to do something for her, Ladd explains. The following day, she appeared on Maury Povich's Panorama talk show and asked him if he knew of anyone named Martha. He went crazy. He said, "Oh my God, you're the one to tell her story. Somebody's going to tell it and lie, but I've seen you act, Diane Ladd. You will tell the truth." And I said, "Martha who?" Because I didn't know which Martha everybody was talking about. And he looked at me and said, "Martha Mitchell." I said, "Martha Mitchell? Are you talking about the Attorney General's crazy old alcoholic wife?" And he got livid with rage. He said, "How dare you? She was not an alcoholic. She was the Cassandra of Watergate. She brought all the villains down with truth. She's my friend." And he said in the present tense, "She's my friend." So I said, "Okay, Maury, I'll meet her." And he said, "Good heavens, Diane Ladd, get a life. Don't you read a newspaper? You can't meet her. She's dead." I said, "When did she die?" And he said, "Yesterday morning at 4:30 a.m. EW reached out to Povich for confirmation on Ladd's claims. He responded, quote, "I don't remember the exact quotes, but I remember the substance. Both Diane and Martha were friends of mine, and both appeared on my show." The experience inspired Ladd to embark on a 3-decade mission to tell Mitchell's story on the big screen. Mitchell openly criticized the U.S. government amid Watergate scandal before she died on May 31st, 1976. She was reportedly viewed by her husband, Attorney General John Mitchell, as a hazard, for he feared she'd leak information about the cover-up to the press. Thus, Mitchell was reportedly drugged and quarantined in a California villa after speaking to White House reporter Helen Thomas about the political scandal that ultimately led to President Nixon's resignation from office in 1974. "She wanted me to tell her story," says Ladd. "She wanted me to help fulfill her destiny. She wanted to be an actress, and I feel she floated over the stage while I was acting and said to her angels, 'Give me that sucker right there to tell my story.'" Ladd confirmed to EW she was working with producers Martin Scorsese, David O. Russell, and her daughter, actress Laura Dern, to finally bring her movie called Woman Inside to life within the next 12 months. "I'm going to promise you one of the greatest films, okay? I'm going to bank my 50 years in show business on that. I've won 57 international awards, and I'll bank it all on this movie," Ladd said of the project. "Martha was inside all of the shenanigans. She knew what was going on. She knew the truth, and she cared about her country. The truth about Watergate has never quite been told, so it's also the story of 2 women who changed the course of political history forever, Martha Mitchell and Helen Thomas. It's one of the greatest love stories that's ever been told." And that's the end of Diane Ladd's story. Yeah, that's about 10 minutes.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing. So we have been at it right at an hour here at Abnormal Alabama. We've been talking about celebrity ghosts and celebrity ghost stories, everything from Elvis to Michael Jackson to Dan Aykroyd and a few other lesser knowns out there that have had some very strange and interesting. In fact, Hank Williams Sr. being seen right in Birmingham and people still listening to him as a ghost playing his music. Interesting stories, to say the least. Now, I've been sharing a few interesting stories from my book, Dating the Dead. You can learn all about this book and actually buy a copy of this book from datingthedead.com. It has some celebrity stories. I froze. It has some interesting stories in it from not just celebrity ghost stories, but close your eyes if you're under 18. But even Bigfoot sex is in the book. Okay.
Bow, chicka, wow, wow. Woo, woo. That was my Bigfoot bark.
I think you would not win the contest. And
Look at that
Kevin, Kevin the Cane has haunted dolls and has written 13 books. And of course, he's got to advertise.
Ooh.
Now, have you done an EVP session with Miss Baby Doll there?
Not yet. I could try one. I messaged that lady you talked about. I don't think I heard. Oh yeah, she brought back and said she wasn't quite sure there was any story with it either.
Look at those blue eyes.
I know. It's like they're staring through.
They're staring through you.
Ooh.
Oh, she disappeared.
Uh-oh. Catherine disappeared.
Keep in mind, folks, any one of his 13 books can be found at myhaunteddollars.com. He also does podcasts. I think you started every Friday night doing a live stream.
There we go. So I take turns. I'll do like this last Friday night. I did a new episode of my ghost story, scary story podcast, and this week it'll be my YouTube turn. So I'll do either I might do a live or I might do a just a standard Spirit Box video and post it by Saturday. We'll see what I feel like doing there.
So there's the cover of some of his books.
Yes.
There you go. So I don't want to give away. I want you to buy my book. I don't want to give it all away here, right? No, I'm not going to share. Do you want me to share all your book material?
Well, I guess not.
There you go. There you go. So I'm going to open up the second half of this show with this girl right there. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, there's the Pepsi lady, Paula Abdul.
Straight up.
Straight up, now tell me, do you really want to love me forever?
That was the perfect beat. There were two songs. I used to be a runner. I used to run 3 to 5 days a week. I ran. And two songs I ran to, one with Paula Abdul, Straight Up, had the perfect beat. And then the other one was by Queen, Fat Bottom Girls. Seriously, the perfect beat.
There's a good exercise song.
Yeah. So let's go to Paula Abdul's story here, and then I'm going to go back to Kevin with his stories. Paula Abdul says her former Los Angeles home was built on an ancient burial ground and is possessed by spooky spirits. It wasn't just me, she told the Post after Tuesday's first live broadcast of the X Factor. In my neighborhood, there were other people who experienced ghosts. The first time I thought it was just me seeing white lights. I would jump up and go, "What was that?" Abdul, who put the 5-bedroom home up for sale in 2008 after a fan committed suicide in a car parked a few doors down, says the funky phantoms always put a scare in her housekeeper, Marina. I heard her scream because the lights went on and off and on and off, Paula recalled, and the vacuum cleaner went on and off, and the rolling chair we had was going backwards. I'm not kidding you. I saw the light, and I said, "We have got ghosts." The pint-sized talent show judge describes one of the paranormal visions as what looked like a man in his 40s, hand in hand with his little son, who was in a little school uniform. I would see him walk by, and I'm like, "These are friendly ghosts," she says. "I don't know who they are. They aren't hurting me. They must be the ghosts freaking out my housekeeper, and I'm fine with it." The singer's ghoulish encounters first came to light during X Factor auditions when 14-year-old hopeful Ashley Deckard revealed that she was an amateur ghost hunter. "I see ghosts too," Abdul replied. Neighbor Wayne Mosley told the Post he had been living in the home next to Abdul's for more than 40 years and has yet to encounter one haunted spirit except on Halloween. "She's a little out there," he said, "but a good neighbor." So there's Paula Abdul's story, the ghost story of Paula Abdul. So I bet Kevin's got another interesting story for us.
Yes, I do. Yeah, Paula is kind of out there though. But
I like Paula though.
I do like her. Yeah,
I think
I
she's
liked her on what was it, American Idol. She was fun on there. Her and
Yeah.
Simon going back and forth.
That they were. That she was. I'm sorry. I'm chatting with people on our feeds here.
Okay.
feed them.
I am feeding
Yeah.
them. Feeding them.
I've got one from, I don't know if you know who this lady is. She's on, or was on RuPaul's Drag Race. Her name, her name is Ms. Cracker. Ms. Cracker. Ms. Cracker didn't crumble under the pressure of competing on the 10th season of RuPaul's Drag Race, probably because she'd already honed her confidence battling demonic spirits several years before clicking her heels into the workroom. As a college student in Olympia, Washington, Cracker, currently on tour, did as most university attendees do, moved into a spacious home with a few friends. But the house needed the touch of a woman before it could feel like a proper home. That's when things got weird. Quote, I brought 4 paper bowls that my mother made, and I put them in the center of the dining room table. And I spread them out to the 4 corners of the table to start decorating immediately because, hello, I'm gay, Cracker tells EW. I left the room and came back and took the bowls out of a stack and put them on the 4 corners of the table to decorate because, hello, I'm gay. I walked out of the room again like, wait a second, I did that twice. These dang ads. Okay.
Dang it.
Well, that's what you get for EW Magazine. Okay, here we go. What happened next, Cracker says, was a total unraveling of the relationship between the roommates. She says it was partially instigated by the nefarious presence in their home. The haunting crescendoed over the next 6 months, with the friends waking in the middle of the night to the sound of footsteps coming from upstairs. Plot twist, there was no upstairs. Or odd noises in the kitchen. Spoiler, there was no one in the kitchen. It was enough to literally drive one roommate mad. Quote, our friendships deteriorated. One of the girls legitimately lost her mind and is now fully missing, remembers Cracker. It was sort of like an Amityville horror type film where we were sleep deprived, twitchy people who were haunted. Get to this next page here. Cracker finally decided to move out of the house after an apparent possession of her ex-roomie. I came home and the house was apparently empty. I heard mild laughter upstairs. I had not heard my roommate laugh in so long, so I went upstairs and the door was ajar. So I was going in and jump on her bed like the old days. I opened the door and the room was blacked out fully. The windows were covered with blankets. She was sitting and laughing into the heating vent. I was like, Brooke, what are you doing? And she turned around and was like, what do you want? Just monster like crazy. Her eyes were spinning like little giggly laughter, like that little giggly laughter just snapped off. And I ran out of that room and out of the house. It was the craziest exorcist transition I've ever seen in person. Let's see, is there any more to this here? Yeah, I got to get past the magazine ads here. Okay, yeah, that was the end of her story. Shall I go on to the next, or you want to share one?
Share, go ahead, Catherine.
Yeah.
Lady Gaga.
Oh, Gaga. We all like Lady Gaga.
Everybody likes Lady Gaga.
My poker face. My poker face.
Actually, because you were born this way.
Born This Way is the target of our talk right now. Gaga says that the ghost of the fashion designer Alexander McQueen inspired her to write one of the smash singles right after he died. I wrote born this way. I think he's up in heaven with fashion strings in his hand, marionetting, I'll try to get it out, away, planning this whole thing, she said. I didn't even write the effing song. He did. She could be kidding, or she could be not. So he's up there.
I don't know.
Born this way.
That's one effing story.
That's one effing story.
That's one effed up story.
One effed up story.
What the effing F are you talking about?
I get a kick out of people that say effing and mofo.
Mofo.
I like mofo. Hey, mofo.
What fo? Mofo. Okay, Kevin, you got a story.
Yeah.
Is it a
My
good
next-
story?
Yeah.
A
my
really
next
good
one.
story?
Yeah.
A scary story?
Yeah.
Make it hard to sleep at night story?
Maybe. I don't know. We'll
Spooky
see.
story? Well, use your scariest, spookiest voice. And I can't believe that Billy Bird does not like Lady Gaga.
Does not like Lady Gaga? Oh, I don't
Okay.
like Lady Gaga.
Have you seen Lady Gaga, Billy?
But that's fine, Billy Bird. The question is more important is, do you like us? Okay, that's more important than Lady Gaga.
I like some of Gaga's songs. I like what was that called? Paparazzi.
Oh,
That's
okay.
my favorite song. Paparazzi.
Paparazzi.
Poker Face. I like.
Kevin.
Cat. What?
Man, don't eat your glasses, please.
I'm not gonna eat my glasses. So
Paparazzi.
my next story is about Rob Lowe. Have you ever heard of Rob Lowe, the actor?
No, I've only heard of Rob High.
No, this is Rob Lowe, the actor.
Rob Lowe. Is that Rob High's brother or something? Okay.
What do they call it? Back in the 80s, they called it the Brat Pack, that group of actors, him and Emilio Estevez and
I don't know.
Judd Nelson. They did all those John Hughes movies. I think Rob Lowe was in a different. I don't think he did any John Hughes, but he was in that gang.
That game.
Yeah. I think he was in the original version of Red Dawn with Patrick Swayze in them.
You know,
Movie.
you're taking up all our time here. You know.
I'm trying to kill some time here. Anyway, so Rob Lowe, the actor Rob Lowe loves the occult so much he launched a reality TV show, which I've seen, called The Lowe Files,
Ooh.
which
How
sees
low
him
can
traversing.
you go?
Which sees him traversing the United States alongside his sons. He's got two sons as they probe into a slew of mysterious phenomena.
Phenomenon.
From the exploration of an underwater alien base, I saw that episode, off the coast of Malibu, to working with an esteemed shaman at Preston Castle, a reportedly haunted reformatory for boys. Lowe says, based on my experiences on the show, particularly around ghosts, absolutely, Lowe previously told EW when asked if the show made him more of a believer. Absolutely. We captured some incredible footage. Our first episode is about poltergeists in one of the most notoriously haunted structures in America. Nothing is staged. Nothing is trick cut. No BS. I believe there are probably ghosts out there. Let's see. Is that all of it? No, here we go. The most riveting episode of the show, however, featured Lowe coming face to face with a wood ape. In essence, the local vernacular for Bigfoot in the Ozarks. I'm fully aware that I sound like a crazy Hollywood kook right now, he told EW ahead of the airing. I was lying on the ground thinking I was going to be killed. We're 100 miles from the nearest town. We spent 45 minutes on the most rugged, brutal mountain trails. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. there are a lot of serious former military with loaded guns, and then something starts approaching our camps that are defying their orders to stop, and there are warnings that they were armed. So, well, that was the end of that. But I did see that episode. I don't think they caught anything visually, but there was a lot of noise out there and some kind of animal-like noise they couldn't identify. And the military guys were telling it stop, and it just kept on coming. But I don't think it came out in the clearing. We would have seen that all over the internet if they got something on video.
Kevin, you have done a fair amount of ghost hunting in your life.
Yes, I have.
Have you been to the former residences? Someone said, "Good evening, everyone." On
That was
Facebook
me.
user. Oh, okay. It doesn't identify who you are. It just says Facebook user.
Yes,
Okay.
Facebook user.
All right, Facebook user, quit interrupting my show. So, have you been to the former residence of some famous person and had an encounter or something spooky happen to you?
Not a famous person. I've been to some historical places and had it, but I don't think I've been. The closest I've been was I was at a convention. Graceland has what they call the guest house at Graceland. I don't know if you've seen it. There's this nice big hotel they got right next to it.
It's not a hotel, it's a resort.
A resort, basically.
Yeah.
We had a convention there 3 or 4 years ago, and I was invited. But I stayed so busy there, I didn't actually get to go across the highway or go over next door and see the mansion, Graceland. But so that's the closest I've come to former celebrity home. But yeah, I've not been in one yet. I don't know if there's any here in Birmingham that I know of. Well, now strike that. There is, what's that old classic actress's name from Jasper? Her home is a museum out there, Tallulah Bankhead.
Oh, yeah.
You've heard of her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There is that house. I don't know if anybody's ever claimed it to be haunted. I've been there, but I didn't have any experiences there. What's Catherine sticking her face up there about?
I was trying to see what Billy Bird said. He said, "I love all of you." I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on. I don't even know where I put them.
I thought you were going to ask something about the Tallulah Bankhead Museum.
Okay, so I had a friend and a distant relative whose last night on Earth, and he was an entertainer, singer, well known in the day, and he spent his last night on Earth in a motel room up in Guntersville, Alabama. Okay, and then flew out of Guntersville to go do a New Year's Eve show in Dallas, and his plane crashed in Texas, and everybody on board except for the 2 pilots was wiped out. They were all killed instantly. And so this lady next to you and I, a few years ago, went and rented the room that he stayed in. And you want to tell them anything interesting about this, Dave? And just so you'll know, in that room, they had a plaque on the door recognizing him, and they had pictures of him in the room as well. But I knew him very well. He was a distant cousin of mine, and I also knew his lead guitarist, who was a very good friend of mine from West Memphis, Arkansas, that was also killed on the plane.
I got a new computer, and as I was waiting on Kelsey to get there, it was several hours. He was doing something on the other side of town. I had done something on that in Guntersville, and I got into the hotel room first. I opened up my new computer, getting it going, and the number 9 button got stuck. Like nobody was pushing the button. Nothing was pushing the button. The button wasn't like pushed down, and it kept just rolling lines all the way across the screen, and it would not stop.
Oh.
True story.
True story.
True story.
Very true story. And let me tell you, we did the Ouija board, and I can't remember what came up on the Ouija board. Do you remember, Kelsey?
There were a few things that indicated about that that plane that he crashed in, which was a Douglas DC-3, and it was an older plane. His sons, who called themselves Nelson, refused to fly on the plane. They were going to meet their dad in Dallas for that New Year's celebration show. And I'm trying to do a time check on here because that number 9, but it does not coincide. The time of the plane crash does not coincide with the number 9.
Was it the number of people on the plane or something? I don't know. I just remember not, it may have been a 6, but it was a 6 or 9 because I remember it could have been transversed. But anyway, it was one of those two numbers and it just kept going across and across and across. I mean, like it filled up the whole entire screen. New computer, like opened it.
Ooh, hold on a second. Let's see. I
My
gotta
haunted
count.
computer.
I gotta count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Besides Rick, 6 people died on that plane.
It was very interesting.
Yeah,
New computer.
6 people died.
I was upset
Yeah.
because I was, wanted to play on it, but it's all good. I took it back, got a new one. I couldn't keep a haunted computer.
Mhm.
Oh, that would have been
Yeah.
cool.
So that was it. And really and truly, we wanted to go back, and we really want to reserve and get that room on the anniversary date.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
We were very close to it because it was like close to our birthdays. Was it? Didn't he die close to our birthdays?
Well, it was the end of December 31st of 85.
Okay, yeah, because
my father passed away in 84, and he had his plane crash in 85. The last day, because he was going to go into the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I believe it was Dallas, to do a New Year's show that night. And counting him, there were a total of 7 passengers, and all of them died. They were all huddled up at the front of the plane. What happened is there was a heater, and of course it was wintertime, and you get up in the upper atmosphere, it's even colder, and the heater that kept them warm, which was part of the plane, caught on fire. There was speculation at the time of things like cocaine use and freebasing and all that. Freebasing was a big thing back then.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah, but anyway, that was not the case. Bobby Neal was the lead guitarist, and Bobby Neal was a very good friend of mine. He would always call me when they were on the road. We would talk late into the night after their shows and whatnot. But I've always wanted to go and try to do some kind of a communication there on the anniversary of his last night in that room.
Maybe we can do that.
It's always been something I wanted to do.
Maybe do a seance in the room.
Just wanted to touch that real quick. We're down to about 37 minutes left. So next story.
Well,
Kevin, I will let you go.
Okay.
Yeah, bye.
This one
There you go.
Like that.
Okay. This next story is about the lovely actress Lily Collins and her experience here. 5 years ago, filming Love, Rosie in Dublin was a picturesque experience for actress Lily Collins, who plays Fantine in Masterpiece's Les Miserables in 2019 movie. She'd enjoyed a blissful 2-month stay at the majestic Shelbourne Hotel for the majority of production, sleeping peacefully and luxuriating in the historic site's decadence each night, until the playful spirit of a young girl decided to toy with her, that is. Even though my eyes were closed, I have this bizarre feeling of being watched by a presence, like a pressure was standing next to me, Collins tells EW. I have this vision of a little girl standing next to me and staring at me. I turned into a little kid, like If I don't open my eyes, it can't see me. Then I heard a giggling, and I felt this whoosh as if the energy just flew across my chest and across the bed. See what else she says here. Unable to sleep, the actress says she then heard a series of fire doors located outside her room burst open and slam shut. I was tripping, she remembers. Thus, the next morning, she asked the hotel staff about the history of the building. They were like, oh, actually, yes, you're staying on the same floor where this girl is known to just roam the halls and hang out a little bit at the hotel. I was on the floor she normally does it on, Collins explains. I'm glad to know that when I checked in a month and a half ago, someone told me. I believe there are different types of spirits, and based on what I read afterward of this young girl, it doesn't feel like she's a scary spirit. She's just there, and you're existing in her world. But the event at the Shelbourne Hotel wasn't Collins' first ghostly encounter. At age 14, the actress says she frequently visited the 90-year-old Greystone Mansion in Los Angeles, where her mother used to throw events after restoring the palatial Tudor-style California residence to its original glory. I was standing on the patio looking up at the windows, and I remember seeing by the window a woman standing in a white dress and holding on to the curtain, but I did not think there was anybody left in the house. Collins, who says she just finished cleaning up after one of her mother's events, recounts. See what else she says here. I saw one of the park rangers who I've known since I was a kid. He's witnessed a lot of stuff at the house and does the rounds at the end of the night, but there are certain areas of the house that he will not go into because it's super negative and he won't put himself in that position, Collins says. He was like, well, I've seen a lady in this white gown before, and I was like, oh, great, I'm not crazy then. Later, Collins says she did an online search regarding the location's history and discovered that a murder took place some years prior. The moral of great stories is Lily Collins needs to Google every potentially haunted space she enters before setting foot inside. And let's see, is that the end of her? Let's see. Yeah, that's the end of her story.
Okay, I want to go a little bit further with a story I was sharing.
Okay.
Tracy Nelson was Rick's daughter. The rest of his three kids were sons. But Tracy starred in a show you may remember, Square Pegs.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was starred in that show, plus some other shows you would recognize her in. But she had shared some of this story with me before, and I have been also to this house when Rick was alive. And he had bought the old Errol Flynn mansion up in Mulholland Drive in the Hollywood Hills. And I'm going to share this ghost story. She shared probably more detail with me than what's in this story, but I'm just going to read this. It's easier for me to do it this way. Errol Flynn's house, there's a picture of it after Rick had passed away, and Tracy would always tell me it was a bad house. She did not like that house at all, and she was insistent that Errol Flynn's ghost did reside in that house. And after her father, Rick, had gotten killed in that plane wreck, the house burned down to the ground, so the house no longer exists. And this, of course, is where he wrote one of his most famous modern songs called Garden Party. He went to a garden party. Anyway, on the night before his death on New Year's Eve, Tracy either saw Errol Flynn. Do you know who Errol Flynn was?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, famous actor.
Robin Hood.
Yes, Ghost. And she also had a history of ESP and that sort of thing from her mother's side of the family, and is very sensitive to spirits. And I can attest to that very much. She was very, I don't want to say superstitious, but very much sensitive. When she saw Errol Flynn's ghost, he was dressed in a tuxedo, and he raised a glass of wine to her. And before he just vanished, he grinned real wide and said, "Happy New Year." Rick and Tracy Nelson, Father, Daughter, and Shades of Errol Flynn was an article or book she wrote. It's a bad house, and it's got something bad in it. Rick enjoyed living in Errol Flynn's home. The swashbuckling superstar had some high times in the Hollywood Hill, lots of wine, women, and song. Nelson was no slouch in that department either. The teen idol turned pop legend felt a strong kinship with the spirit of Flynn, and perhaps Flynn felt it too. His spirit, or someone's, may have tried to warn Rick of his tragic fate. All the heroes in one magnificent, sexy animal package. That's what Jack Warner called him. A scoundrel with an irresistible twinkle in his eye. Errol Flynn was what every woman wanted and what every man wanted to be. To celebrate his good fortune in filmland, Flynn designed his dream house, a playhouse he called it. He bought 11.5 acres in the Hollywood Hills off Mulholland Drive, and in 1941 built a sprawling farmhouse. An unbroken line of windows provided a panoramic view of the city below. Flynn also included an elaborate bar, several secret passageways, and more than a few peepholes. And I don't know if it tells it here or not, but there were a lot of mirrors, especially in the bedrooms. Now, I don't know why they'd want mirrors in the bedrooms, but, you know. Outside, he built a black bottom pool and circular stables copied from the Lippenzenner stables in Vienna. Flynn lived a good life for many years at this Mulholland home. And in 1957, not yet divorced from his third wife, Patrice Wymore, the 48-year-old Flynn took up with a 15-year-old Beverly Adland. Mm-hmm. Beverly's mother, Florence, went along for the ride as long as possible, and the two women spent many nights in the home. But by then, Errol's wicked ways had taken an enormous toll. Bloated, ill health, he lost his beloved home in 1959 to his first wife, Lil Demita, whose alimony was long overdue, and he died later in that year. In 1959, Rick was 19 years old and was driving teenage girls crazy on both the big and small screen. He had joined his parents and brother David on radio's The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet at age 4. The show moved to television in 1952 and ran for 14 years. During that time, the world watched Ricky transform from a irksome teen to a rock music idol. Eventually, he married and had his own family. In 1977, he found the perfect home for them. He bought the Flynn estate from country and western artist Stuart Hamblin, the only other owner. Rick and his wife, actress Chris Nelson, moved into the Mulholland home with their 4 children and 18 years after Flynn's demise. The house was a 2-story ranch home. It wasn't oversized or grandiose in any way, but it was sprawling, daughter Tracy said. The front door was in a place where it shouldn't have been, so we never used it. Because of that, I never really felt that the house had a heart, had a center. I would usually just come in and go straight up to my room. My bedroom used to be the Beverly Adland's room, and we used to always smell this funky perfume, a really cheap perfume. All sorts of weird things went on. My shower door would open and close in the middle of the night. The toilet would flush. My shades would roll up for no reason. The ghost in her room felt distinctly feminine. Ms. Adland is still living. Could it have been her mother? Instinctively, Tracy felt it was an older presence. This is going to sound a little crazy, but it didn't feel like a young, naive girl. It felt like a cynical presence, a cynical woman in Flynn's house. That could have been any number of women Flynn had loved and forfeited. Whomever or whatever was there, her friends felt it too. When I was going to school, girls would have slumber parties, but nobody would stay at my house. To me, it was like having a pet. Like, oh, well, it's just that weird energy in the house. Rick and Chris Nelson's home life was nothing like the happy family we saw in The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. The couple was plagued with problems, with their marriage, with their careers, with drugs. In the early 80s, Chris moved out with the twin boys. The youngest son went to live with Chris's mother. Tracy remained with her dad. I was doing square pegs at the time. One night, I arrived home from work. It was dark. I looked up at the dining room and the light was on, and there was a man standing in the dining room. I thought, oh, Pop's home. She used to call Rick Pop. I went upstairs and called him. No answer. His car's not there, and there's nobody there. Then the phone rang, and it's Pop calling me from the road to say he'd be home tomorrow. Tracy told him that what she had seen, and Rick replied, oh, that's just Errol. The following day, Tracy came home from work while it was still light out. She went straight to her room to read. After a few minutes, there was a noise from downstairs. It sounded like someone had broken in. My father had a room below mine full of his gold records and awards, all hanging on the walls. It sounded like whoever was down there was smashing all the gold records and all my dad's stuff. And I remember thinking, oh my God, take anything, but don't take those. I hid myself in the closet and I waited for the noise to stop. It was really loud. The house was shaking. It sounded like people were throwing things against the walls, breaking chairs and breaking glass. The sun finally went down. It had been quite a while, and I thought it was finally safe to go downstairs. Tracy expected to find the place in shambles, but there was no broken glass, no smashed furniture. Instead, all the lights had been turned on. 2 pet cats were in Rick's bedroom, and the door had been locked from the inside. Nothing else in the house had been touched. Tracy decided then and there she wanted to move out. A short time later, after she had moved into her own apartment, Rick and his girlfriend called her one night. The weirdest thing happened, they told her. We were up downstairs and we heard all this noise coming from your old room. We thought we had been robbed. Things were crashing and breaking. We called the police, ran outside down the driveway, and waited for them to come. When they got there, the couple continued, they went upstairs to investigate. The door was locked from the inside. When they opened it, they discovered all the lights in the room had been turned on, but not a thing had been touched. Rick Nelson lived in the Mulholland house for more than 2 years. For 2 more years, until his death in a plane crash in 1985. Tracy recalls that the spirit in the house changed dramatically after that. It had been playful before, but after my father died, it turned malevolent. My brothers and I could literally feel when my father's presence was gone, and when he left, it just turned ugly and scary in that house. My now ex-husband always had a hard time believing any of this ghost stuff. After Dad died, we were removing some furniture, and he went outside and refused to go back in. He told me, something's in that house, and I don't ever want to be anywhere near it. Richard Dreyfuss, Tracy's co-star in Down and Out Beverly Hills, talked to her about buying the house, but Tracy warned him, it's a bad house. It's got something bad in it. The Mulholland house stood vacant after Rick's death. During that time, darkness seemed to completely envelop the place. A gang broke in and murdered a girl in the living room. Then a mysterious fire burned half the house. I tried to figure it out. There was a lot of really wacky stuff going on in terms of drug usage in the house when I was growing up. I believe all that stuff creates energetic chaos. I don't know what else to call it. So it was a wacky place to live anyway. Then compound that with the history of the place. All the women on my mother's side are very psychic. My grandmother, my mom, myself. Since I was a kid, I've always been very open to the possibility of ghosts because I always kind of felt them. I never saw anything, but I felt them. I can tell you, all I can tell you is that it was definitely haunted. Tracy has a theory about the two explosive smashing episodes. Perhaps Flynn or the cynical women who were trying to warn Rick of impending tragedy. When the warnings failed and Rick was killed at age 45 before his time, just like Errol, the spirit turned black. My father's dying was such a cataclysmic thing for the family. Maybe the smashing was a warning. Maybe it was, who knows. The house was torn down years ago and the acreage divided up in separate lots, but Tracy still has nightmares about all that time. It's all so real in the dreams, but my brother gave me some great advice. He told me, Tracy, the only place that house exists now is in our minds. So there you go. That's the rest of the story.
Ooh.
The rest of the story.
The rest of the story. There's another show she was in that my mother used to love called The Father Dowling Mysteries.
Oh, yeah. What's that actor's name that played with her?
Tom Bosley.
Bosley, that was it. He was a real laid-back kind of guy.
Yeah.
He played there. Yeah. Anyway, there is the rest of that story. When you were talking about celebrity ghost and whatnot, I had to throw that in. So there's two houses that were star related, if you will, celebrity related, that I have actually been at. We've got 20 more minutes, Kevin. What have you got?
Yeah, I've got a story here of the adorable singer Ariana Grande.
Grande.
You know who Ariana Grande is?
She's grande, I know that.
She's grande. She told a story. This was several years ago.
Several
yeah,
many moons ago.
In a 2013 interview with yeah.
We had a new member, Hannah, joined us on
Yes, Hannah joined us.
Facebook. Welcome, Hannah. I hope you're watching the show tonight. We're talking about scary. We're talking about spooky. We're talking about ghost. And speaking of scary, there's Kevin.
And that's Kelsey.
And I'm Catherine. And I have a real live story that happened the other night.
All right. Well, let Kevin do one. Okay. Wait a minute.
All right.
Billy Bird says, I'm still listening. Thank y'all for the entertainment.
Yes. All right.
And you're quite welcome, Billy Bird. Thank you for supporting our channel. Make sure you hit the likes button. Make sure you hit the bell. Make sure you share this. Do all those wonderful things that's free for you to do. It really helps out our channel. Thank you very much. Okay, Kevin.
All right.
And save Catherine at least a couple of minutes for her story.
Okay, this one is not long. In a 2013 interview with Complex, Ariana Grande was asked if she had ever seen an alien. She replied, "Not an alien, but I've had a ghost/demon experience. We were in Kansas City a few weeks ago and went to this haunted castle and were so excited. The next night, we wanted to go to Skull Cemetery, which is known as one of the 7 gates to hell on earth. The Pope will not fly over it. I felt this sick, overwhelming feeling of negativity over the whole car, and we smelled sulfur, which is the sign of a demon.
Yes.
And there was a fly in the car randomly, which is another sign.
Another sign.
Yeah. I was like, this is scary. Let's leave. I rolled down the window before we left and said, we apologize. We did not mean to disrupt your peace. Then I took a picture, and there are 3 super distinct faces in the picture. They're the faces of textbook demons. I deleted the picture the next day. I tried to send the picture to my manager, and it said, "This file cannot be sent. It's 666 megabytes." I am not kidding. I used to have a folder called Demons that had pictures with all the screen caps in it. But then weird things started happening to me, so I deleted it. She then goes on to explain more terrifying things that started to happen to her, but that's not in this article. So that's it.
That's it.
Demons
Well,
and Ariana Grande.
So since you brought up 666, I will tell a quick experience on my end. I had gone for years and had never patronized Chick-fil-A. Okay, everybody talks about Chick-fil-A, but I just never gone
I
there.
love Chick-fil-A.
All right. So one day I was going up somewhere toward North Alabama, maybe Hayden or somewhere, to do a wedding. And I was in a hurry, and it's like, okay, that exit up at Fultondale, Gardendale, that's got a Chick-fil-A and a McDonald's and so forth. So there was a long line at McDonald's, so I just said, and there really, strangely enough, was not a line at Chick-fil-A. So I went through Chick-fil-A and I just ordered, I think, whatever, chicken sandwich and a drink. And I went up to the window, and I'm a heathen. I'm the devil incarnate. My total on that ticket was $6.66. And that guy, that when he gave me the total to pay, and I said my favorite number. I thought he was doing the sign of the cross, and he was getting the holy water sprinkled in everything. So that's my 666 number. I saved that ticket for a long time.
He did. He posted it. It'll show up on Facebook again one day. I remember it. Well, everybody knows that I sometimes volunteer to pull shifts at a youth home when they need extra help.
Catherine, get your face in the camera. You're leaning. There
I leaned too far over. Sorry.
I know these guys. I know these guys are enjoying the rest of the picture, but let's see your face too.
I think I'm blushing. Anyway, I sometimes pull some shifts at the youth home to fill in for people that are sick or whatever, vacation, whatever they want to do. I was there the other night, and I had opened a box of Little Caesars pizza to warm up for one of the kids because they wouldn't eat my delicious food that I worked hard to cook. It was delicious. And did I say it was delicious? And
no, didn't hear that.
Anyway,
what was it?
It was delicious.
Oh, what was delicious? I lost that.
Oh, my food. The food that I cooked. Try
to get your face more in the picture. Getting distracted here. I'm sorry.
Anyway, I was cooking the food, and I had laid the pizza box on the counter. I had closed the pizza box after I had removed some pizza from the box, and I was sitting in the dining area eating my dinner, and I faced the kitchen where I'm eating. Well, all of a sudden, the pizza box opened straight up. As I'm sitting there, I shocked look on my face. Slowly, it started. I'm like, look! Everybody turns around to look, and by that time, it just goes, just in very slow motion back down.
Something was wanting some pizza.
Something was, it is a youth home, so there could be kids there. We have had, we have never had one die there, but
not
several
there. But I'm sure that you've had one commit suicide. At some point.
Yeah. I mean, we've had several kids that we have had in the place die later on after they left the place, but you never know. And it is in the woods in the middle of nowhere.
Nowhere.
Well, Kelsey, guess what I just found?
Oh no!
Another Michael Jackson ghost story.
Oh yes,
this
the king
one,
of pop.
This
you know. But isn't there a Prince story too?
Oh, I don't know. I hadn't heard of it.
Okay, let's hear Michael Jackson.
Yeah, this is told by one of his impersonators. And this guy's name is Navy, spelled Navi. I'm not sure if it's Navy or Navi, but I'll just say Navy. With nearly 30 years of Michael Jackson impersonation under his belt, professional doppelganger Navi signed on to play his lifelong idol and real-life friend in Lifetime's 2017 biopic. An experience, he says, brought him closer to the King of Pop's spirit. I've never felt more like Michael Jackson than I did here. Surreal things happened behind the scenes. We were filming pictures on the wall for scenes depicting the night he passed away, and one of the pictures fell on the floor when no one was near it, he told EW shortly before the film's premiere. We were filming the This Is It concerts, and the trusses came down while I was standing there dressed as Michael, holding the curtain. They picked a mansion to do a photo shoot out of a catalog, not by an address, and the mansion ended up being on the opposite side of the street as the house Michael passed away in. Let's see what else he says. Oh, no, that's it. That was the end of the story.
End of the story.
That's pretty interesting. So he was playing Michael in the biopic, and a couple of strange things there. Falling pictures, falling curtains, and then that little eerie coincidence that one of the locations turned out to be across the street from where he died. So that's pretty cool.
Mhm.
So legendary musician Prince, whose name was Prince Rogers Nelson, died on April 21st, 2016, at his Paisley Park estate and recording studio near Minneapolis, Minnesota. Since his passing, Paisley Park has opened to the public as a museum celebrating the multi-talented musician and songwriter's life. Staff have claimed to have heard strange sounds and weird noises in the middle of the night. One neighbor to the estate has seen a strange purple mist on their Ring doorbell cameras. So there is alleged Prince haunting ghost sightings around his Paisley Park estate.
Hmm.
I thought he and
Famous
Michael
music.
Jackson were a lot alike.
Well, the interesting thing, they were both had a background or association with the Jehovah's Witness faith.
Oh, I know that.
You didn't know that?
Oh,
What about that ghost hologram thingy that they had?
Oh, where they have them on stage?
Yes.
Yeah, they've done that with a lot of deceased.
Now that's kind of freaky.
yeah.
I mean, it's like they're dead, but yet they're standing there and they look like they're just standing there and they're doing stuff. And it's like, wow.
Wow. Kevin, give us something to wrap up the last 5, 6, 7 minutes here. And let's spook these people so they sleep so they have well, it's our job to make it very difficult for people to go to sleep at night.
Yeah.
I know.
All right.
And of course, here's the start. For the last few minutes, we got 7 minutes. If you really want to make it difficult and be spooked out tonight, focus on that image in the center of this screen. That's a very haunting, spooky, scary image right there. See that face?
Well, we could just throw your picture up there. Where's that thing at? Did you take it down?
I didn't take it down. You took it down.
There's your picture, Kelsey. That don't scare anybody. I don't know what will.
You know that doll that I gave you?
Yeah.
It's gonna haunt you worse than anything you've ever been haunted
she
with.
loves me.
Look at those eyes. You need to put that doll in a chair next to your bed with those blue eyes.
She's next to on the bench next to my bed. And
there you go.
And but this other story I got here is kind of short, so it won't. Her to tell.
Billy
It's
Bird
a-
says, "I know you'll have to count sheep with a nightlight on tonight."
Not me. I welcome them.
Mm, yeah,
This-
well, looking at this woman there, you know what kind of sheep she'll be counting. So
Dead, bloody ones that are
Yeah.
dead, jumping over the fence.
you've heard of Elvira? That's Catbara. Catbara.
My heart's on fire.
The Catbara.
this,
I better not quit my day job. I can't sing.
All right, we're down to 5 minutes now.
Okay, Kevin, go.
So this one comes from one of the cast of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, one of my favorite shows back in the day.
Buffy.
Allison Hannigan, who played Willow on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She was Buffy's sidekick.
Isn't she the same one that hosts on the Fool Me
Oh, I don't know. I haven't.
for Penn and Teller?
I don't know. Maybe I haven't
Okay,
seen
you
that.
go ahead and tell a story. I'll get
Okay.
a picture of her.
The Buffy star clearly has her own ghost slaying to do. In 2003, Hannigan claimed she lived in a haunted house, but she didn't mind. Hannigan explained, "I have a ghost in my house. I saw him a couple of months ago. I don't think he died there because there's a law in LA that when you buy a house, if somebody's died there, they have to disclose that. And nobody did. So I don't know why he's there, but he's very friendly. My friend saw him first one night. She said, I don't mean to alarm you, but I just saw a man follow us out of the house. And I said, well, at least he's gentlemanly. He let us go first. However, that was not the last time Allison saw, that's not the last she saw of the spirit. She continues, later that night, I saw the silhouette of a man standing in the bathroom doorway. I thought it was my fiance, Alexis, so I said, sweetie, what are you doing? But then I looked and Alexis was asleep next to me. When I looked back at the doorway, the figure was gone. I'd love to get his name, the ghost. I'm thinking of putting a little chalkboard where I think he stays at to see if he will write down his name for me. Well, that's a cute story. Yeah, there she is. That's her.
Yep.
That's
right.
Allison Hannigan.
Because
Yeah,
I watched that.
She was my favorite on Buffy, actually. Everybody crushed on Buffy. My crush was Willow.
Well,
She had that cute face.
that's her more recently, and she's been hosting that show with Penn and Teller for a long time
Yeah.
now.
And still adorable.
Cute.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Cute.
she's still cute. She looks young.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but she's not that young.
No,
She's not.
she's around my age, early 40s.
Oh,
Plastic
gosh.
surgery did a great job.
Let's
Hey guys,
see.
I do have something to say. If you guys want a T-shirt, we do have some T-shirts, and we also have some polo shirts. Dr. Graham, can you show off your polo shirt a little bit, please, sir? It's
Let's
got our
see.
logo on it.
Let me get rid of that. Right. Hold on.
We do have some of those for
Picture.
sale. The T-shirts
Wait a
are 20
minute.
to.
Well, get rid of this. Oh. So there's Bigfoot on the collar. You see right there.
Yes, Bigfoot on the collar of
Bigfoot
the
on the
polo
collar.
shirts.
Right. And then on this side is a UFO with Bigfoot being sucked up into the UFO. And of course, that gives the website www.abnormalalabama.com.
And the little beam that is sucking up Bigfoot is
Yep.
in the shape of Alabama.
That's right. You noticed that, right?
You know, because we are abnormal Alabama, and Bigfoot sucking up ghost. Alabama
it.
it should be shaped
it.
like Alabama.
That's it.
Um,
And Allison, by the way, is 47.
47.
Born in
Wow.
1974, and she's
Oh,
all
she's
5'5"
older than me.
inches tall.
She's older
She
than me,
looks-
but she's still cute.
she's older than me,
Yeah.
and she is still cute. Yes, plastic surgery. Yeah,
Not
lots
in
of
Hollywood.
lots
What
of good
you
plastic
talking about?
surgery.
What you
Mhm.
talking
I
about,
don't think she's had plastic surgery. I think because I watched that show a lot, and she just has one of those faces.
Yeah,
that
one of
always
those-
looks young, or a great
Yeah.
makeup artist.
one of
Yeah,
those
well,
cute-
when they wear a
It's-
lot of makeup.
it's one of those Michael J. Fox faces. That's what.
Yeah. But he's like 60 something years old now.
But he's still hot.
Probably.
Yeah, really.
He's still hot.
Look at that weirdo.
My mom used to talk about Sean Connery. She said he's 200 years old and he's still a stud.
Sean Connery. Well, he's a dead stud now.
He's a dead stud now.
I can literally say that I'm sexier than Sean Connery.
That's true. Sean's dead, isn't he?
That's it.
I don't know. Let's see here.
Look at that. What happened to Kevin?
That's you. That's your
I'm right here.
doppelganger.
I'm right here.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
you.
now Sam Elliott. Let's go there. Now that one will never get old.
All
The
right.
older he gets, sexier he gets.
It is 9 o'clock.
Man,
Do
already?
you know where your ghost is?
I do.
Yeah, I got them all around here.
Thank you guys. Billy Bird, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And everybody else that's watched on YouTube and on Facebook, thank you for your support. This show, like all our shows, will be archived both on our Facebook page as well as on YouTube. Do we have any clue what we're going to talk about next week?
It's going to be a surprise.
Oh, I had the idea for a future show. I've seen on YouTube people doing reaction videos where they watch videos, be it scary ghost videos or
Oh, just little clips of
clips of those danger stunt things and just reacting to it and talking about
Right.
it. I don't,
Right.
those are fun, but I don't know if we want to do it here. YouTube might boot us off again.
No,
I know.
That is so silly that we stream a YouTube. It's on YouTube and YouTube,
And it's free
Don't
on
watch
YouTube.
whatever. I don't know.
It's
what to
their
say.
free movie.
And good night. Make sure we say good night to Mark. I know he's
Good night,
watching.
Mark.
Good
Good
night,
night, Mark. Good night,
And
everybody.
enjoyed you all.
Peace, love, and all the above.
Love.
Happy hauntings.
Happy haunting.